Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another nanny state version of the Gold Standard with Alan Mosley. And here's your host, Alan Mosley.
Welcome back to the Gold Standard, everybody. I
Yay.
am your host, Alan Mosley. It's a nanny state episode.
Nanny state episode.
It just makes me cringe a little bit.
Nanny.
But you'll find out why here in a second.
Yeah.
Guys, you can follow us on social media, facebook.com/TGS Alan Mosley, which is where you can get the streams of these shows as opposed to having to wait around for your podcast catcher. But if you're into the podcast thing, it's iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, and probably some other ones. I don't know.
Yeah,
but there's definitely those. But you can catch the shows live and actually chat with me during the broadcast.
Yeah.
Facebook.com/TGS.
And what time does it usually air?
Well, it's not going to be tonight because I'm going to be out of town tonight. Okay. So this one will air tomorrow night, which that's irrelevant, by the way.
Because it could be at any time.
Because if they're hearing my voice right now saying that's tomorrow night, that means they're watching it right now.
That's right.
So it doesn't matter.
That's so confusing.
So to answer your question, it's going to be Thursday night, the 6th of June, 2019. But that doesn't give them any information at all.
Which, if they're watching right now, is actually now.
Yeah, it's actually right now.
Very good.
Yes.
Okay, continue.
Yeah. Its Twitter is at Alan and Mosley, but you don't have to do any of that. You can just go to our website, which is thegoldstandardpodcast.com. Look at this, by the way. We're going to run people through this one more time really quick. So what's happening? So you go to the website. There it is, and you see that right there.
Yeah.
You click on that button right there. It says donate, and then you type in.
Some unreasonably huge amount of numbers. Yeah, sure.
And
that'd be great.
And then you put in your information. So that doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
But then you can also go check out this one right here.
Okay.
You can go to our Patreon.
Okay.
Which is patreon.com/TGS Alan Mosley. Which, by the way, you can join for as little as $1 a month and support the show. I will call you a real libertarian on the program if you do that. Close that. Make that go. We're done with that. So yeah, I will actually announce live on air. You are a real libertarian. All you have to do is
donate $1 a month.
is make 17 easy payments of It's not like that. So, of course, there's another shooting, and predictably with every shooting, it's always going to be, well, of course, the world would be a perfect place and no one would ever get hurt if we just had more laws. Of course.
Yeah, yeah, sure, why not? Let's just legalize everything.
Of course, yeah. So, Donald Trump is the president of the United States. And
Last time I heard.
He ran as a Republican. Of course, we know he's just a leftist, but he ran as a Republican.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you know, under yet another Republican president, we're going to have more gun control.
Yep.
Just get ready for it. So they came for your bump stocks, and I know all the MAGAs out there are like, you don't need a bump stock. Like, okay, slave. Sheep says what? So Trump said, and I mean, they said something along the lines of what do you think about gun control and the shooting? And he said, I don't like silencers. And that immediately rolled us around to, I actually have this from ABC News. Rachel Scott, ABC News. Trump will seriously look at banning gun silencers. President Donald Trump stated he would think about a ban on gun silencers following news that a suspected Virginia Beach shooter used a legally bought gun suppressor. So here's the thing. So I know that people who the only knowledge they have is from watching movies.
Yeah.
And you see the guys running through the hallway. They did this in the movie Inception, and I like the movie Inception.
Never saw it.
But in the movie Inception, dude's running through the hallway, and he's got a pistol with a silencer. And you know that sound they always do in Hollywood? It's like that little... little...
Yep.
So it actually isn't that quiet.
No. It's
in real life.
Yeah.
So if you have a suppressor on a firearm,
which is different from a silencer,
and you fired it in our studio, you would know a gun was fired in the studio.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't quite be as loud, but
you're still gonna know it.
Yeah, it's gun. This concept, it's this Hollywood idea that you can pull the trigger and you can just catch the shell out of midair, so there's not a little tink on the ground, and so it's literally totally, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's stupid.
That's ridiculous, but it doesn't matter. None of that matters. Nope. What matters is that the Second Amendment says shall not be infringed. Now, I know I don't care about the Constitution. I would even, so your natural right of self-defense means you are allowed to arm yourself by whatever means you deem necessary to defend yourself.
Yeah, tank,
nuke,
yes. Yeah, whatever you want.
Yes, okay. Tank, recreational McNukes,
yeah,
whatever.
That's right.
I'm for all of those things. What I'm definitely not for
those.
is any infringement at all.
Right.
And so I'm only saying this today just because not only is it in the news right now, but because I know the Trump humpers out there are going to figure out a way to do the mental gymnastics to explain away that their guy is infringing on their rights. That's what it's going to boil down to. And they're going to have to do it. I mean, you saw this with the bump stocks. When they banned the bump stocks, it was, well, they're unnecessary. Who would really use a bump stock anyway? It's not really good for anything. And blah. I mean, you don't need a bump stock. It actually makes you way less accurate, blah, blah. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
None of that matters.
There's just no justification
What matters
for it.
is it actually says shall not be infringed.
That's right.
And the only reason I'm referencing the Constitution at all is that these people swore an oath to uphold and protect the Constitution.
Right.
So they're violating their oath. We're gonna get to violating oaths here later on in the show. Yeah. But with that said, I want to bring up a couple of our friends. There's, of course, the Other 3% page on Facebook, which is at the other number 3%. This is one that was on their wall right now. So it's perfect for today. When Great Orange Führer appoints a career anti-gunner as ATF head, and you can't think of anything else to say, it would be worse with Hillary. Honestly, I can't think of anything that would be different between Hillary and Trump today.
No.
I mean, he said different things during the campaign, but I mean, every politician does that.
Yeah.
But I mean, gun control, sure. I'd expect more gun control under a Democratic administration. What's funny is believe it or not, there's actually been more gun control passed under Trump than under the 8 years of Obama.
Which is kind of hard to believe, but
it's true. Well, it's not hard to believe. It's not hard to believe at all if you get out of that nonsense paradigm and you realize they're all on the same team and they're just about infringing upon your rights. The point being is that there's a lot of, I know I'm picking on the right-wingers today, which, fuck them, they deserve it. But I'm picking on the right-wingers today, but it's because the right-wingers, their answer to everything wrong with the world today under their guy is, well, look how much worse it would be under a leftist president. Which
that's no excuse for anything.
We have a leftist president, but
yeah,
that would or well, Obama did where Obama said, well, no, man. First of all, we're talking about the here and now. We're talking about Donald Trump. Right. And second of all, Donald Trump is an absolute hawk on gun control compared to Obama. Just saying. Yeah. So do your mental gymnastics as long as you need to. But when you're ready to wake up, come check us out. 'Cause
no matter how you try to justify it.
We're done with that.
Yeah.
So always check out the Other 3% for content as awesome as that. They also post lots of articles, some of their own thoughts. And check that out at the top.
Oh, yeah,
look at their pinned post. Yeah. It was last week's episode.
Oh, good.
Of the Gold Standard. That was a spicy episode, by the way.
It was.
So they're good friends of ours. Also, you have the Status Quo, which now has their website up. I think I've mentioned this a couple times. They have their website up now, which is thestatusquo.net. They've got their episodes and their blog. Look at there. There's a blog post on the Powerful Servants. And their most recent episode, I Support Everyone's Troops. They did a Memorial Day episode talking about the significance of Memorial Day in our militarized culture. Yeah. Which that's really their bag is the foreign policy stuff. So you really want to check that out at thestatusquo.net. And I think that's good.
Yeah. Cool.
So no, we're not done. I was going to say, so thanks for joining us.
Do.
Give us money. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. No, we're not done. We will see you right after this break. Hey, did you see the playoff games last weekend?
Oh, you're into the sports ball game.
Sports Ball with Mike Meharry and Alan Mosley. SportsBallPodcast.com.
Sports ball is not a libertarian sports show. It's a sports show done by a couple of libertarians.
For when you need your bread and circuses.
Your ad could be playing right now, reaching thousands of potential customers. Sadly, it's not, but it could be. Find out how to be an advertised sponsor for the Gold Standard with Alan Mosley. Email us at tgsalanmosley@gmail.com.
All right, you're back.
Oh, it's a sports ball game.
It never gets old, man.
Dude.
Come on. It's awesome.
I was just about to say I miss Mike. Mike should come back on the show. But no, Mike's been on the show like 9 times. So no, Mike needs to take a break for a little while longer. But I don't actually miss him. So we do sports ball every week.
Right.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
I
Always
don't
check
see
that
him
out.
here.
No.
I see him over there.
You see him over there.
But yeah, that's probably my favorite commercial. Just for that one line and nothing else. So guys, welcome back to the show. Blake and I are gonna have a little discussion on a news story that broke just recently. This is also from Karma Allen on ABC News. I was really heavy on ABC News today. That doesn't mean anything.
Right.
I don't care about ABC News. It just so happens that the 2 pieces in the stack both came from ABC News.
Okay.
So I don't want you to believe that I'm endorsing that particular corporate media.
You would never do that.
Because all
Of
corporate
course.
media just blows.
Let me try something real quick. I'm going
Okay.
to try something really cool.
All right.
Here, okay, now wait a second now. I'm going to take
Okay.
that.
Okay.
I'm going to put, hold on.
All right.
Let me see if I can put
All
me
right.
there.
Okay, there's you.
and you there.
Okay.
Rocket. So now everybody can see both of us. Isn't that
Okay.
cool? It's like now I'm the guest today.
Well, no, but the guest always gets the big screen in the interview.
But I'm not that important,
So so now you're the host and
No,
I'm the guest.
I'm not hosting anything.
Okay.
I'm the little mouse in the corner.
All
What do you
right,
think about
whatever. So anyway,
Okay.
you remember the Parkland school shooting, right? We covered that on this very program.
Of course.
Yeah.
Who doesn't remember that?
And I
And the
think,
star David Hogue that came out of it with sweaty
no.
armpits. Love that kid.
I wasn't
right?
going to mention that name. You just ruined it. We got to redo the whole segment now. Thanks a lot.
Oh, you know me, man. I will totally ruin it.
I thought he was Hog. Is it Hogue?
Hogue,
doesn't
Hog,
matter.
Who cares?
Yeah, he'll be dead soon anyway. It's fine. So anyway, I think the thing that most people remember from that whole smorgasbord was
Yeah.
the fact that there was a deputy or deputies on the scene, and they hid outside basically
Yeah.
while the shooting was going on.
Well, what would you do?
Well, it doesn't
I'm
matter
not
what
running in there.
Well, no. Well, that's what I would do, but I don't work for the sheriff's department and doing security for the Parkland school,
Right.
so that's why.
Yeah.
So no, he's totally to blame because.
Okay. So
that's-
you think a cop should run in there with guns blazing when there's somebody in there blowing everybody away?
Of course, that's your job.
Are you sure?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
If you don't think that, you're a fucking piece of shit.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I mean
I don't
it.
know, man.
Because
I
that's
mean-
no. That's.
I mean,
don't.
how do you not know that you're not undergunned, man? I mean, think about this situation. I'm not defending the dude. Doing
It doesn't
but-
matter. Okay, so you're defending your home from an intruder, but I don't know if I'm undergunned or not, so I better send the kids
Hold on,
out
no, that's
first.
my home. That's different.
But
He
okay.
just works there.
Oh, why is your home different then?
Because it's mine. The school's not his.
So you take ownership of it.
Yeah,
It's
when you
your
take
family.
ownership of something,
Okay.
you have the right to you defend the things you you defend the things that you take ownership of.
Okay.
But did the cop have ownership of that?
It's his job.
It's his job.
Okay.
Sure.
So we haven't. You're doing the discussion before we cover the article.
Okay,
so
cover
hold,
the
So
article.
hold on to all that. But
Okay.
if you think you're totally wrong on all that, by the way.
Well, that's what I'm here for, to be completely wrong on.
Police arrest. So let's go to the article. So police arrest
Okay.
ex-deputy who did absolutely nothing to mitigate Parkland school massacre. Now, by the way, that's not just a totally clickbait. I mean, it is a clickbaity headline,
Yeah.
but they did that. That's a quote. Did absolutely nothing to mitigate. Like that's not the journalist writing that. That's a quote.
Right.
So I'm just saying. Because that would be a really incendiary headline. Former Florida Sheriff's deputy has been arrested on felony charges over his handling of the deadly mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland last year. Scott Peterson, 56, there he is, by the way, and then we're going to be done with it. Look at that piece of shit. Where's his face stop and his neck begin?
I don't know. That guy looks a little old to be a cop.
Well, he needs to be a little dead. But anyway, all right. So we're done. Basically, we're done with the article. So
Gotcha.
So he was arrested on Tuesday after an internal investigation found that he retreated while students were under attack in the February 2018 shooting that left 17 dead. So he's actually being arrested on multiple counts of child neglect is what they've actually arrested him for.
Because they can't arrest him for what? Abandoning duty or anything
Well,
like that, right?
well, the Supreme Court ruled that cops have no legal obligation to defend you.
Right.
So they could not because the Supreme Court says that. So he's being arrested for child neglect, but he's also being arrested for perjury because his testimony as to what happened that day and his own actions don't line up with video evidence of what he actually did that day.
So basically, he ran away like a coward.
So I mean, that's totally what he did. Yeah. But the point being is that this would happen to either you or me. So if you or I went to court and we told a little white lie on the stand that had really nothing to do with anything, they could still charge you with perjury because you lied under oath.
Yeah.
Even if it has, like, we could be testifying over what color this couch is. Yeah. And you could say, I'm wearing a yellow shirt. Well, it's actually gray. So that has nothing to do with the couch, but you perjured yourself. Yeah. So you're not supposed to do that.
Don't lie in front of the court.
Supposed to lie.
No.
So he actually perjured himself, and he's also being charged with child neglect. Now he's being charged with child neglect under the pretense of he has a relationship. I think the way it was worded. We're not going back to the screen.
Okay.
The way it was worded is that so an officer doesn't have a duty to protect unless there's a special relationship.
Yeah.
And I know that's really like weird and kind of ambiguous. And I mean, surprise, surprise, laws are written like
a
retards.
Duty to protect unless there's a
special relationship. But of course, that's up to interpretation. But you could interpret that he does have a special relationship because he is the security officer of the students at the school.
So he was the SRO for the school, basically.
And he just ghosted. Yeah, he's 0-30 that shit. So anyway,
he's like,
so here's the thing. Here's the thing. I've seen a number of libertarians saying that, well, since the Supreme Court said that the cops have no legal, no legal obligation to protect.
That goes back to what I was saying earlier.
This whole thing's going to be thrown out. And do we really want to set the precedent that like a higher up can charge an insubordinate lower police officer with a crime because he didn't do X, Y, or Z?
Yeah.
You know what? Fuck you. Jesus Christ, you're not a real libertarian. Go kill yourself. Euthanasia.org. That's where I send everybody so you can get the information you need. So first of all, there's the semantics of it, and then there's justice.
Yeah.
Justice is this guy should fucking hang because he let those kids in there to die and didn't do a goddamn thing. That's number one.
Well, I mean,
number two is what would happen to you? I'm talking to you now, Mister.
Yeah, okay.
I know you're playing devil's advocate, but I'm talking to you now. What would happen to you if you were a student at that school and you didn't feel safe, so you went to school with a firearm? What would they do to you?
Oh yeah, you're over.
You're done, right?
Yeah,
Zero tolerance. Your ass is grass.
Yeah, you're gone.
Because you brought a gun into that gun-free zone, right?
Yeah, and they're going to assume you were there to
kill
kill everyone.
So they are denying you your natural right of self-defense.
That's right.
Therefore, the onus is totally on the school system and the security to protect me because you're denying me my right to defend myself.
I see. So when an SRO with a gun hightails it and runs...
I don't care if it was all of fucking ISIS that ran into the school with AKs.
Yeah.
Guess what, motherfucker? You're the security.
Yeah.
And I don't get to be armed.
Right.
So yeah, you get to go. I don't care if you get lit up. You go get fucking shot so I can run away.
Yep.
If you don't like it, take the badge off and go home.
That's right.
I'm not going to sit here and defend this piece of shit. First of all, the Supreme Court is wrong. If the Supreme Court has ever ruled against gun rights in any way, they're wrong. If there's no such thing as gun-free zones, there's no such thing as any of that shit.
Yeah.
The right of self-defense is not trumped by anything.
Transcendent. It's transcendent.
Yeah, and I mean, and the anecdotes are out there. I mean, our older audience would know. I mean, older audience, like they went to school and there was a rifle club at school, and the kids, the shotguns were on the back of their truck, and that was normal.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though: did everybody shoot each other in school back then?
They didn't.
No, they did not. Fancy that, huh?
Yeah.
So, so the point being is that the rules in place that were shoved down people's throats under the guise of security bit them in the ass, and people died because they couldn't defend themselves.
That's right.
While back before, when guns were more prevalent,
the rifle club probably would have done something.
The rifle kids weren't walking down the hallways gunning people down.
No.
So that's just ridiculous on its face. And then just to add insult to injury, the only person within fucking 15 square miles that does have the means to combat the shooter goes and hides outside behind his car like a piece of shit.
Like a coward.
And these fucking people, these libertarians out there that are saying that, well, nobody knows what they would do if they were in that. I don't care what anybody would do. I care what this guy did because he was in the position. He was wearing the badge. He had the gun. He was the security officer near the school. I don't care what you or me would do in that situation.
He had an opportunity to be a hero, too.
I'm not charged with defending the students at Parkland.
No.
He is.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah.
And if that's not good for you, if you're somebody who says that, well, I don't like the precedent that this might set of officers being charged because they weren't particularly gung-ho on X, Y, or Z.
Right.
I don't like that. That leaves, somebody had made the point that, well, that leaves the door open for abuse of like higher ranked officials targeting lower level officers that they have some sort of beef with by saying, well, you were insubordinate, therefore, instead of just being fired, I'm actually going to charge you with a crime. I get that point.
Yeah.
But none of that matters because what matters most of all is your natural right of self-defense. And in this authoritarian state that we live in, because we don't live in the libertarian paradise that we want. This isn't the stateless society where our natural rights trump all. It isn't.
Right.
In the world we live in, if the government says jump, you say how high or they blow your brains out.
Basically.
And so the only thing we can say then in response is that, well, if I'm not going to be able to arm myself, or if the parents can't take their kids to school packing and escort them to and from class, which nobody really wants to have to do that or see that either, then there needs to be armed personnel on campus ready to die to defend the students because they cannot defend themselves.
Right.
I mean, why did 17 students die running around screaming? Because they can't defend themselves. Because that guy had a gun and they didn't. They can't defend themselves. Why can't they defend themselves? Well, most kids in most situations can't defend themselves. But they really can't defend themselves because they're unarmed and the attacker is armed. Imagine that. An armed attacker walked into a gun-free zone and his gun didn't magically just disappear like Thanos snapped his finger, you know. So no, I have no sympathy for this piece of shit. They should hang the motherfucker. There you go.
Feel better?
No, I don't, because they're still dead.
Yeah. It doesn't bring anyone back.
They're still dead and he should hang. Although,
let that be a warning.
you saw his neck, where do you even put the rope?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
I don't know. It's just sad that you know, when you're in a situation where that's what you're there to do, you know, and that's why you took that oath that's why you took the oath to be a police officer. That's why you put your life on the line every day. And when the opportunity comes for you to actually do what you are supposed to do and you hightail it and run, in the military, that would get you court-martialed, if not killed.
Yeah.
In battle. I mean, it's the same thing. So, yeah. I mean, what other excuse is there? The dude was a coward.
So here's the thing. I think this is what sums it up best. Is somebody had made the comment. Frankly, it's kind of shocking that many libertarians would be against holding a government official liable when the services they allegedly offered are not delivered. So if we took if we took the death and we took the emotion out of it and we just said, so you are contracted to offer, and this is how it would happen in a private society.
Sure.
In a private society, it would be, so you're the private security, I have a contract with you that you're going to defend the school. When you don't, we're going to court and we're going to bomb your ass because you broke your contract.
Right. You were supposed to do something.
That was what you were supposed to do.
You're the reason why this should not have happened in the first place.
And this is also why, again, like, imagine my surprise when government looks after government and never looks after you. So that Supreme Court ruling, I didn't have it pulled up off the top of my head.
So where was this guy?
The Supreme Court ruling that said that cops are not legally obligated to defend you in a life or death situation. Like, that is purely just one piece of the state defending its enforcement wing.
Yeah.
That's just one branch of an authoritarian state looking after another branch of an authoritarian state.
So if it screws up, it can't hold itself accountable.
Yeah, exactly. So again, the point being, it's not any one aspect. It's not that there was an attack. It's not that he had a gun and the students didn't necessarily. Although I'd be perfectly fine with the students having guns because shall not be infringed.
Yeah.
I don't think there should be such a thing as a gun-free zone. I think that's all bullshit.
Yeah.
I frankly, I think the evidence is in my favor. But but on top of that is that if we are going to, of course, we don't enter into a contract with government. If I tell government I don't consent, they blow my brains out. There is no social contract.
Yeah, there's no contract.
I didn't everyone say, "Oh, I didn't sign shit." Well, yeah, we know that, dumbass. That's an old meme at this point. But the point being is that we're past that. The government will kill you if you say these things. We're past that.
Yeah.
So we have entered into this contract whether we wanted to or not. So in the basis of the contract that we're in against our will, I can't carry guns onto the school. You can. You as an officer, you're allowed to carry your gun onto the school property. Right. I'm not. And since I'm not, and there is evil in this world. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? There's evil in this world. If evil knocks on the school's door one day and I wasn't allowed to defend myself, guess fucking what, buddy? You get to be the one to defend all of us because you're the only...
Yeah, you're the only
entity that can offer armed resistance on school grounds.
Right.
If you don't like that, let the teachers arm themselves. Yeah. Let the students arm themselves. Yeah. So I mean, so you can't have your cake and eat it too. No. If you're gonna defend this piece of shit, then let everybody arm themselves. Right. Then we won't have this problem. Then it'll be like, well, you know what? If the deputy fucks off, then who cares? Because when homeboy walked into the classroom, he got clapped by like 7 or 8 dudes in the back of the room. He would have probably never even made it that far. Right. So
what was it that our previous guest has said? A carrying society is a polite society?
Yeah, an armed society is a polite society. I mean, that's a very famous phrase. Yeah. And I believe in that. I believe in that 100%.
There'd be a lot less school fights if everybody had pack and heat, you know?
So it's got to be one way or the other. Either I mean, because you know how I feel about cops, obviously. Yeah. Is that it's got to be one way or the other, folks. Either we tell the cops to fuck off, and that means we arm ourselves, or we have private security and we have contracts with them, and they have to uphold those, or there's going to be hell to pay. Yeah. Or we can't arm ourselves because the state said we can't. Right. Which means they are now responsible for my life. Right. And by the way, that's not my preferred choice. No. I'm responsible for my life. Yeah. I want the state out of my life, and I want to be responsible for my life. Yeah. I absolutely, if I see a business or an establishment and they've got a little sign that says, "Oh, this is a gun-free zone," I don't spend my money there because I don't support that. That's one thing that all of us. That's the way the market can speak, is people can say, you know, I'm not gonna patronize a business that says that my natural right to self-defense just magically doesn't exist across this line. No, sir, I won't go across that line then. That's right. We could have a deeper argue another day over what trumps what, the private property owner's property right versus your right to self-defense. Yes. We can save that for another day. The easy answer is that if you draw a line and say no guns here, then I just won't cross that line because I'm gonna have my safety in my hands. In this particular case, those kids' safeties were not in their hands. Yeah. They were in the hands of the school administration, which also were not armed, obviously, because teachers weren't armed either. And this Mr. Neck over here. And so he deserves everything he gets.
I feel you.
I'm particularly hot about this just because I've seen libertarians, they're not libertarians. The fact actually defending this piece of shit because they're worried about the precedent. You're sitting here worried about the precedent that gets set in a totalitarian state that will absolutely do whatever it wants. Yeah. And you're talking to me about precedent? Dude, the precedent is already set. The government owns you and it will do whatever it wants. Now that you understand that precedent is set, don't worry about precedent. This is why I tell people all the time, you need to worry about you and yours. That's what you
Yeah.
really need to worry about.
That's right.
And don't rely on them to protect you.
Right.
This is actually, you know what? This is a perfect example of why homeschooling is really important.
Yeah.
Because every kid that was homeschooled didn't get murdered at that high school that
That's
day.
right.
I know that's a very shallow and harsh thing to say, but I mean, where's the lie though? You know,
Yeah.
where's the lie in what I said?
If you aren't there, you ain't gonna get
The
some.
homeschool kids down in that district didn't get shot up that day.
Yeah.
And if a gunman came to their house, they could be armed, or their parents could be armed
right.
in the same way that you are at your house.
Yep.
So fuck them. So again, our preferred position is they should just all be armed.
Yeah.
And frankly, I mean, and again, I mean, there's just no argument against it. Fuck you if you think there is. First of all, your natural right to self-defense trumps any argument you have.
Right.
And second of all, do you honestly think that there's going to be a lot more wackos wanting to go into the school to shoot it up if they know that there's like 800 people in there with a gun?
You know.
They won't. They'll go find somewhere. Frankly, what they'll do is they'll go, remember that business I said I won't patronize?
Yeah.
That's
They're
where
gonna
they'll
go
go.
there. Yeah,
they'll
they're
go
going
there
there.
and shoot it
Yeah.
up because nobody's got
Because no one's got any guns in there.
Christ, man.
You
And then,
I mean,
and
it's
then on
just
top of all
common
that,
sense, man. It's
and then
just
on-
common sense.
And then on top of all that, you know, generally speaking, it would be the right-wingers who would say, man, I agree with you, Alan. Yeah, more guns. But then they'll also turn it around and defend
The
a
removals.
Republican president who
Yeah.
proposes more gun legislation.
Yeah. Because, you know, it's okay as long as you can hear it. You know?
As Eric July always says on Twitter, and a lot of people do every time this happens, all gun laws are infringements.
Yeah.
So whenever anyone comes back to you and says, okay, so I understand you don't support the silencer law, but what about this? And no, there is no but.
Yeah.
All gun laws are infringements.
Yeah.
I absolutely believe you should be able to have anything you want. Anything that the government can possess, you can possess. If you, of course, I understand that the government is, I understand that there is a state, and
Yeah.
the state apparatus
Yeah.
just sees you as chattel slaves. I get that. Some people don't get that. Some people still believe this fairy tale of the government is of the people, for the people, by the people. If you actually did, I don't believe that because I'm not 5. You'd have to have the intellect of a 5-year-old to still think that in 2019. But if you did think that,
Yeah.
then how could you then say that the government can have things you can't have? If the government is us, then how could they be us and also have rights and ownership of things that I can't have if they are me?
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
The whole thing falls
like,
apart.
I think they'll be
instantly.
able to drive down the street holding their cell phones.
Oh,
I can't.
oh, we're gonna talk about that in the finale. But oh yeah, well I mean, of course the laws don't apply to them because that's why the deputy did have a gun at the school because the laws don't apply to them.
Sure.
I mean, if it was a totally like unabashed, there's no guns on this property, then he wouldn't have a gun either.
Right.
And maybe in that case, I would say, well, there's not much he could do. He didn't have a
Yeah.
gun.
What do you
But
have,
no,
like a wand?
that's not the case because he's absolutely charged with those children's safety.
Yeah.
And failed.
Yeah.
Full stop. He didn't fail, by the way, because he shot and missed
Yeah.
or died heroically.
Yeah.
He failed because he hid like a bitch. The parents of those kids should have strung him up that night.
Yeah.
Not that I advocate violence other than stringing this guy up that night. Not that I advocate violence, though. Not that I advocate violence. All right, I need a break to get my
Yeah.
blood pressure down, and then we can wrap up.
All right.
Have you ever been talking politics with a friend and told, if you don't like it here, you should just move to Somalia?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, from the sandy beaches of Mogadishu, Sherry and I bring you Postcards from Somalia, one of the newer products of Little L Productions, where we take on all of the fallacies of the people who say, if you don't like it, you can just get out. Your ad could be playing right now, reaching thousands of potential customers. Sadly, it's not, but it could be. Find out how to be an advertised sponsor for The Gold Standard with Alan Mosley. Email us at tgsalanmosley@gmail.com.
All right.
So they passed a law in the state of Tennessee where you now cannot be seen with a phone in your hand.
Yeah. Don't be doing this driving down the road in Tennessee.
Yeah. You cannot have a phone in your hand while you're operating a motor vehicle at all.
What if you can't hear? What if you have a hard time hearing? What if you're hard of hearing? What are you going to do about that?
What if, now stay with me on this.
I am.
What if no one has a right to tell me what I can and can't do as long as I'm not hurting anyone else. What if that?
Yeah.
But of course, they own us. They just see us as
Yeah.
slaves, and they
Yeah.
can tell you whatever they want.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they passed that law in the state of Tennessee. So now, what did you say the fine was? $100?
I don't know, but I know it's high.
Yeah, you get
Yeah.
you're going
You
to
can
get
look on
pulled
the
over
news
and get a
stories.
ticket if you're seen.
Now, listen, I grew up in Miami,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm no stranger to this law because this law was passed in the 90s in Miami, back when a cell phone was a brick the size of a cinder block that you held upside your head. Okay. For some reason, there's a consortium out there that believes that when you're talking on the phone, holding it against your ear, that it increases the likelihood that you're going to crash your car. I'm sorry, I don't buy that. I've been doing it for 30 years. I've never had an accident. I talk on the phone all the time. It's, I can tell you that if I've got my phone sitting on the center console on speakerphone, number one, I can't hear a doggone thing, nor can the person I'm talking to. And look, we're all in our cars. 70% of the dang time we are in our freaking cars. We live there, we eat there. If we could go to the bathroom in there, we would. Okay? And I'm still working on that.
I'm not sure I like where this is going, but
anyhow,
go on.
it's just, it's enough. How many freaking laws do you need? Okay, I get texting. Obviously, that's really freaking stupid. You don't want to text and drive because you're not looking at the freaking road.
Doesn't matter. It
That's
doesn't
just
matter.
completely idiotic.
Doesn't matter. Now, are you ready? That this is real libertarian talk now.
Okay.
So I know. So everyone who disagrees with this is sorry, guys, because you're not a real libertarian. It's time for the real OG stuff.
Okay, let's do it.
So not only should there not be a law against using your cell phone, there should not be a law against texting while driving.
Yeah.
There should also not be laws for drinking or smoking marijuana or anything like that.
Well, yeah.
And you know why?
Personal responsibility.
Well, it's personal responsibility, but we already have laws.
Uh-huh.
So what would happen if you drink and then you drive home and then you get home and nothing happens? What would happen to you? Nothing. Now, what would happen if you drink and you drive home and you cause an accident?
A lot.
Now, a lot would happen because you caused an accident. But you would have caused the accident whether you were drinking or not. You would still be at fault for having caused the accident.
Exactly.
So if you because you have the big van, you've got the big van because you're the goat farming DJ extraordinaire.
Yeah.
And if you pull out of here outside of the studio in your van and you run over a kid, you're gonna be in trouble for having run over the kid.
Yeah, especially if I aim for him.
Whether or not you were drinking, that's just a made-up thing. That's just a way for them to tack on some more years.
Yeah.
But you already had a law that said don't run over people.
Yeah.
And you broke that one.
Doesn't matter how you ran over him, you ran over
is
him.
irrelevant.
Yeah.
Now, you could say, obviously, that, well, if you're drinking, that you're more likely to cause accidents because you're more likely to not operate the vehicle well or whatever.
Yeah.
But that, again, that's on you, though.
Yeah.
It's still on you. The personal responsibility is still on you. And if you do anything while operating your vehicle and then nothing happens, then nothing should happen to you because you didn't harm anyone.
Right.
It's the moment that you aggress upon someone else
Yeah.
that now we have a problem.
Right.
So there should absolutely be stiff consequences for when you aggress upon someone else.
Yeah.
But if you don't aggress upon someone else, then there should be no victim,
Then
no
what's the
crime.
problem?
So if the cops pull over somebody right out here right now and says, "Hey, you had anything to drink?" And he blows into the little thing, which you shouldn't do, by the way,
Right.
and they say, "Oh, you've been drinking," but he didn't actually do anything.
Yeah.
No one was adversely affected at all.
Right.
And the moment that they yank him out of his car and shoot his dog and take him downtown because he had been drinking, that's all Minority Report stuff, right? That's all hypothetical future crime that may or may not happen. That's BS.
Yeah.
And also, by the way, I'm really big on restitution as opposed to punishment.
Yeah.
So if you were texting on your phone and you caused an accident, and I don't mean like you killed somebody, I just mean you caused an accident and you're like, the accident happened because I crossed the line. And I crossed the line because I was distracted by my phone. Well, first of all, if you can't drive and text, then you don't. You don't because you can't. If you can, then whatever. But if you caused an accident, then you should have to make amends. You should have to pay restitution to the people you have adversely affected. So you should have to pay for the damages to their vehicle, plus any loss of time. Maybe they were working or whatever. You should have to pay their back wages. You should have to pay to make up for. You have to make them whole the best you can. And I know, obviously, in instances of like murder or manslaughter or whatever, it's hard to say what making whole is because you can't bring back the person.
Sure.
You could pay restitution to their family. And then you're nitpicking of valuing the life in dollars.
Sure.
And I don't want to get into all that today.
That's
But the point being is that trying to make someone whole again is way more important than just locking some dude up in a cage.
Because that doesn't fix anything.
That doesn't fix anything.
That fixes nothing.
That fixes nothing. Exactly right.
It just sustains bad forever.
But if we believe that there is no victim, no crime, if you really believe that, and if you really believe in non-coercion, and if you really believe that as long as you're not harming anyone else, then you should be left alone, then drunk driving, under the influence, texting, all those laws need to go away.
Yeah, because all they are is just
along with seatbelts, by the way, because that's your own. That's your own.
I would never get in a car without putting a seatbelt on.
I wouldn't either. But the point being is who cares? It's not. It's not my problem. It's your problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's to me.
It's like motorcycle helmet laws. You can just go on forever. It's stupid. Law after law.
Well, the funny thing about motorcycles is that how can any of us sit here and have a rational conversation about the laws of driver safety when motorcycles exist? Like, and I don't mean, and by the way, cops drive motorcycles.
Yeah.
Everybody has seen the meme of like when a cop gets up to like 125 to run you down on his motorcycle to give you a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt. That's when you realize how ridiculous all this is. Yeah. So the point, here's the thing though, that I want to end today with is that to me, these things that we're talking about right now are not that complicated.
No.
I don't think these are really that complicated of principles to have. What it is, it's applying them consistently, and that's where people get messed up sometimes.
Yeah.
It's applying these principles consistently is where people get tripped up. But you know what? Nobody said it was easy to have principles, but principles act as a foundation to guide you in your decision making.
Yeah.
And if you have these principles, then and you favor logical consistency, then you have to apply them to everything.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's no argument.
And that's what makes you a real libertarian. We need to make a graphic where I say that makes you, and then it goes on the screen, a real libertarian. We should do that. Guys, thank you so much for listening to another episode of The Gold Standard. We're a proud product of Little L Productions, along with such other fine programming as the Sherry Voluntary Show, Sports Ball with Mike and Alan. That's me, by the way.
Yeah. That's
there's Postcards from Somalia, which I also do with Sherry. And there's Godarchy with Mike Meharry. I like to call his show God and Friends.
God and Friends,
but it's actually called Godarchy.
Godarchy.
You can catch us online, which is facebook.com/TGS Alan Mosley. Twitter's @Alan and Mosley, but you don't have to do any of that. You just go to our website, which is thegoldstandardpodcast.com. Support us on Patreon, patreon.com/TGS Alan Mosley. Guys, we will see you next week.